In this video, we're going to be reviewing how to generate a RAI report. This video is for team members who work in long-term care homes. Those are the only members currently who need to generate RAI reports. And so you'll see here that I've logged into Coligo and I've chosen my location. Where you go to do your RAI report is by clicking on this icon here, RAI MDS. The first thing that you need to do is, well, if we just take a look and find, you'll see that there are a whole bunch of test reports that have already been done with a series of different names and things. It is important that you name and create a new patient set, it's called. These are called patient sets, that you do a new one for every RAI report that you do so that we can always have them in Coligo to refer to. The way that you do that, if you don't have this create a patient set window to the right, is at the very bottom. You click on the plus, because if it's the first time you go into this report, this may not be here. When you click on the plus at the bottom of this list, this window comes up to the right. What I will ask that you always do is that you name the report for the period of the RAI that you're looking for, the 7-day observation. So some of these are actually one date patient sets. It's because we were doing tests for 1 day at a time, for example, but we really should name it for the entire period. So what I'm going to be doing right now is September 23 to 29. And just so you know, sometimes Coligo doesn't like apostrophes, so I've gotten into the habit of doing it this way: September 23, 29, 2012, or if it's faster for you to type this, 23 to 29, September 2012, that's fine. Then you click on create patient set, and then you'll see that it's created and the name of it is right here. If you click on demographics, that you can see the name of your test or your patient set again. Click on patients, which it should automatically go to once you've created the patient set. And in here you want to take this patient search name out. So just delete this so that it stays empty. The age range, keep it empty. The gender, you obviously want both or any. And activity, this is defaulted to active because we're not going to need to create a RAI report for an inactive resident unless they passed away during their RAI period. And so here you're going to click find. So this is going to give you the list of residents to pick from. So here you'll see your entire list. If in your home there are many residents, what you can do if you want is search by the last name. So for example, if I want to search for my residents that have a last name with B, I would put B here and click on find, and I'll get just the ones who have a B in their name. That can make it easier for you to search for your residents if you do have a long list instead of leaving this empty. Okay, so for example, Joe Black is one of the residents that is on my RAI for this week, so I'm going to click on the plus beside his name and it adds him to my list of residents. There's also Joey Buttafuoco. Let's say by accident I click on the wrong plus. Oops, I clicked on the wrong resident. You can remove their name here and go back and click on their name here. Okay, and I'm also going to add Hansel and Gretel Easybake, who are actually E last names, but they showed up in here because they had a B, so I didn't have to go look for them by searching with an E. That kind of saved some time for me. So these 4 residents have their RAI period for September 23 to 29. I've got my 4 residents. So now I'm going to click on report types. And there are no report types that show up because maybe it's been a while since I've done a RAI report, or it's the first time that I'm doing a RAI report. So I leave this search for box blank and click on find to come up with the RAI report types. Please note that there are RAI reports for both OTs and PTs. What you need to do, and sometimes also the older RAI report definitions show up, please be always picking the most recent RAI report for PTs. So in this case, 2010 November is more recent than 2010 February, so I'm going to click on this one. don't be surprised by this whole big long definition that shows up. You don't need to do this. You also don't need the statistics tab. You need to go right away to the reports tab. Now you can double check here. The patient set you're doing this for is September 23 to 29. And yes, that is 7 days. The RAI report type is the most recent one. You can just double check here that you've clicked on the correct report. Here is where you're going to enter the date range for which you need to do your report, which is why it's also handy to have named your set for the actual dates that you're doing. So bring your cursor to the end. It will always come up for automatically the month that you're in, but you will need to update the dates. So the 23rd to the 29th, and I'm going to click on Generate Report. And here we see all of the raw data that shows up for this report. And at the very bottom, we see the number of days that these people had 15 minutes as a minimum, and the total number of minutes that they had as well. We'll also see the refusals, or the reasons that they didn't do some of their treatments. Now, please notice that this is a test site, so we probably wouldn't have very many residents with 0 days and 30 minutes. I know that we do try to optimize our RAI. It may happen that this is a couple who do their exercises in their room and it does only last, I think it was 10 minutes that I was entering. I can check. Yeah, I was doing 10 minutes of strengthening with them, and I actually have a couple in my real home that we do exercises with, but we do balance training with them, and there are a couple who don't like to do very much, so there may be residents who don't reach their RAI numbers on a regular basis. Just take note of that. So here, what we want to do, all of these different parameters are checked off, as you see. So when I click Generate Combined PDF, here is my report. I've got 3 pages. So on page 2, I can see here that we've got the days and the minutes, which is the most important thing to enter. And on page 3, I've got the refusals. So please remember to print 2 copies, or, well, you may not. Let me rephrase that. Please print at least 1 copy to keep in your binder, because we do want to keep track of the RAI report on the dates that we created it. So here's showing the date that I actually generated the RAI report and the name of the RAI report, so that if we ever have to refer back to it for whatever reason, the ministry does do DART reviews for the RAI in long-term care homes, and sometimes they want to make sure that what's been entered in the software or what the home has reported on is actually what happened, and they may want to come back and check. We have had it happen in some cases that even though we've submitted this amount of days and minutes to the home, that the home has either made an error by accident or on purpose to have better numbers. We need to keep track of what we generated and provided to them as the numbers for days and minutes, so that if somebody fudged some numbers along the way, at least we can show what we had generated, which is why we like to have a paper copy and also the electronic copy that is saved in Coligo. So please be sure to do that. If you happen to enter the numbers yourself in the software, then you don't need to print a second copy unless the RAI coordinator wants to have a paper copy as well. That is up to the RAI coordinator. Okay, so always print at least 1 copy for your binder. And if you need a second copy for the RAI coordinator, you can go ahead and do that. That's basically how you do a RAI report.